7:01. Do we have any public comment from the public? No? Okay then. The chair's report, I just wanted to extend a thank you to the screening committee and everyone who sat on the screening committee and dedicated many hours to our superintendent search. Several of the players are here: Mr. Ebersol, Mr. Randall, Mr. Archipredi. We had Miss Yardine Yates, Miss Peterson, Meredith, Miss Weiss, Chief Marino, well, I'm going through around the table. Town Manager Heather Lemieux. We had two teachers, Miss Foyle and Miss Raboyan, and one other. No. Yep. Oh, yep. Mr. Spadafino. And I think that was it. It was a really nice group of people, and we collaborated and cooperated, and it was very respectful. So I thank you all for your time, and I'm excited to make the announcement, not just yet though. So, I'm sorry, we have to wait a few more minutes. Got to get some work done. So we have warrants on the table to approve. They're going around. And then we have minutes to approve. Correct? So
I make a motion to approve April 25th, April 30th, and March 25th meeting notes.
And I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
There's just three of us. Okay. So now we have the superintendent's report.
Yes, welcome everyone. So great to see you. We've had several weeks of the arts at Lunenburg High School, starting out with Peter Pan a couple weeks ago. It's such a well-produced play, most enjoyable. The students just brought their best creativity and acting skills to it, and so many of our local children and their parents attended, some in costume as well, to get into the evening. I want to thank the principals at the primary and the elementary school for really helping the students promote the play, because they really were wanting to get that youthful audience there, and even the less than youthful audience really enjoyed the production. It was just a wonderful evening, and so great to see this great facility really meeting the needs of our students and giving them the opportunity to learn about staging and sound and light production, and the students themselves just had a wonderful time. So I brought a program for anybody that might not have been able to attend, to look through. And then last week was the Arts Expo, which is the reinvention of Pop's concert. And it's a wonderful reinvention because they've opened it up to the visual arts as well being here. I noticed our greenhouse program was present. They were doing some plant sales. Just fabulous concert with the concert band, the jazz band, the chorus, as well as the a cappella group Pulse. And prior to that, we had visual artists in the cafeteria. There, several students were displaying their work, and also several students were there actually creating as the evening went by, and talking to the participants or the attendees about their creative process. So it was just a lovely evening. The musicators always do such a fine job supporting the music program. Mr. Sheldon and Miss Wardwell, it's always so heartwarming to hear the students talk about how those two teachers really push them to take risks and to grow and to work very, very hard, but to enjoy it and to get them back in line when they're not doing what they need to do, and just the respect and admiration that the students always communicate as they voice their appreciation, and usually a bouquet of flowers of thanks to the conductors every time is very rewarding to see as an educator, and I know we really work to have that kind of environment in all our classes. So congratulations. I brought the ad for it. I'm sure it's on cable. I'm pointing to the camera here, but I know it was videoed and it's up and playing on YouTube. Tomorrow it'll be up. Great. It was a beautiful concert, some really great music going on. Tomorrow we're very excited about the Literacy Summit and the first region-wide early literacy collaborative impact model. This is our partnership with Footsteps to Brilliance and, of course, the United Way and the Community Foundation and several of our neighboring districts. We know that reporters from the Ledger are going to be there. I think the Fitchburg Cable is planning on being there as well. And we're looking forward to an introduction to this, a kickoff of the program, some challenges that are going to be laid down, and Lunenburg is going to have the opportunity to shine in terms of their students being part of that. And we will also have a demonstration for anybody that wants to stay after the ceremony to learn more about the applications and what they can do. So I know Ms. Roca is going to be there. I know our town manager is going to try to be there as well. And Mrs. Blaisdell is going to be there. And we're looking forward to this really large launch. And former Commissioner David Driscoll is going to be there as well. And we'll look forward to seeing Commissioner Driscoll back with us. So please come join us. It is open to the public. It's at Fitchburg High School in their auditorium beginning at 10 o'clock tomorrow. I want to let you know that I received word just before I came over here that Chris McAuliffe will be receiving the Boston Globe Richard Phelps Award for Scholarship this year. So congratulations to Chris about that award. I wanted to make the committee aware that my recommendations around some postings, we have a freeze on, but we are making exceptions in terms of the positions that are being posted versus some positions that we're looking for different ways to make sure that we are achieving efficiencies within the district and making sure that every dollar has its maximum impact. So the district-wide maintenance position, that's open due to a retirement, or will be open due to a retirement. And we recommend that position be posted at this time. A math science position at the middle school that's open due to a resignation. And then high school social studies, as everyone is aware, is open due to the retirement of our beloved Anna Keegan. I'm recommending a posting for an interim high school principal, given Mr. Spadafino's last day here is July 14th. I know he informed the high school community about his acceptance of a position away from Lunenburg, and I think at this time of year what I would recommend to you is to put an interim posting up for that and begin to get some applications around that. It is late in the year to find a high school principal. They are highly sought after. And also I would recommend simultaneously that we also post for an interim athletic director. So just wanted to share those thoughts with you. Other posting, those are the positions that we're posting. We have 4 or 5 other positions that are open, but those are the ones that we continue to look within the district in terms of making sure that we're maximizing the resources and don't intend to open those at this point in time.
So it would just be athletic director?
It would just be athletic director is my recommendation.
Okay.
That position was athletic director, dean of students when we originally created that, as we had this experience throughout this year. And Mr. Spadafino was, him doing the job these last several weeks, we had talked about what's really realistic around that, and he says, you know, it's not 50-50. That was an unrealistic expectation. 25-75 is probably the most accurate representation of that. And I'd also make some recommendations. There would be a bit of a change of the scope with regard to that, or addition to that scope, in terms of adding in coordination with our youth sports programs under the athletic director's position, as well as our lifelong learning program, particularly those programs that are related to adult fitness and health and sports. Those have been very popular. The wellness program that Mr. Boone has done, as well as Mr. Palumbo, who has done just a wonderful job of setting up soccer and basketball and I think softball is what he's doing this spring, opportunities for adults. And so it makes sense because those all need coordination with fields or gyms. And we go to the athletic department to really be able to identify how we can have those programs. We have both men's and women's basketball, adult basketball programs as well. So it's a nice constellation of needs for the district and our desire to make sure that the community has access and is using this beautiful new facility and our other facilities as well. And it makes sense to roll those into that AD position. It may mean some diminishing of any kind of support for the assistant principal in terms of investigations, particularly investigations that are outside athletic department investigations. I think it's really important that the athletic director, with those that would be related to a sports event or an MIAA rule infraction, that of course the AD would continue with those. So that's the recommendation that I have for the committee, and we plan to go ahead and get those postings out tomorrow, the next day, unless there are concerns, or if you'd like to take some additional time to maybe reorganize that somehow. So
the athletic director, does that person do the middle school athletics as well? The cross-country, the track?
We would have that do all
of them.
The athletics, yes. Now, I think there is a distinction between clubs and athletics.
Okay, yeah. Those are.
And I think that's an important distinction to make. But we will look for synergies. For example, one person working to coordinate the buses in the fields.
Yeah.
So there are aspects of the operation of the middle school program, regardless of club or athletic program, that I think the AD will be involved with. I think financially, because the stream of dollars is different, these are different funds based upon the kind of activity, that we do want to maintain some kind of difference there in terms of where those fees are being deposited, and probably therefore where those fees are being delivered to in order to be deposited in appropriate accounts.
And then, so that person would report to the principal or the superintendent?
The AD should report to the superintendent.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So we want to get that, both that and the high school position up there and posted, but there won't be any appointments to that until your new superintendent is in place.
Okay.
And I also wanted to make everyone aware that we're working with some citizens in town on Thursday, June 14th from 7 till 9 p.m. The Lunenburg Police Department is going to have a basketball game against the civilians, as they're being referred to. There's a $5 entry fee, and children under 5 are free. There's a 50-50 raffle. The whole inspiration around this is basically to acquire some additional AED units that can go in police vehicles. Currently they have 2, but they have 6 more vehicles that don't have AEDs in them, and so the goal would to be raise enough funds in order to place an AED in each one of the police vehicles. So please, come out and join us. I'm sure it's going to be a fun evening. It looks like they have a donation from Great Wolf Lodge for a night's stay for 5 in a deluxe queen suite, and also a $300 gift certificate from Safe Roads Driving Academy for any of those 16 to 18-year-olds.
Oh, I did that.
meeting a class. So.
You said it was June 14th?
June 14th, here at Lunenburg in the gym.
Okay.
Yep.
Can I just go back to the postings
Yep.
for 1 second? I
You
just
can.
thought about it. Is it
Absolutely.
going to be posted on School Spring or just in district?
These will be all posted externally.
Externally, okay.
On School Spring
External.
externally.
Okay,
yeah.
thank you.
Yep. Yep, all of those.
Okay. Okay.
And I know there's a very full agenda.
There is.
It is a very exciting time of year. Graduation come up, there's been tests, and I know our student
Mrs. Scribble.
representative is going to have tons of things to talk
Oh, she
about.
definitely
I
does.
didn't take too many, did I?
No, not too many.
Great.
Not too many.
So yeah, things wrap up very, very quickly. I feel like it was just April break and now the seniors are out of the building and AP exams, I believe, are totally finished. Everybody is registered for their classes next year and seniors, this is their last official week they're taking their finals. And then there are so many senior events coming up. The baccalaureate is going to be held at Our Lady of the Lake this year at 7 p.m. on Tuesday, May 29th. The senior motorcade, which is a great tradition the seniors do every year, will be on Wednesday, May 30th, and then graduation will be June 2nd at 10 a.m. on the front field. And then at the high school, again, I already said all students have registered for classes. We did this past week the elections, the high school elections. We ran it a little bit differently this year. In past years, we have just done your standard paper ballot. We usually, student council representatives will go to each advisory and hand out ballots, and students will vote, and then they'll be collected, and the votes will be counted by Ms. Guerin and a group of faculty. This year, we decided to try to do the elections a little bit differently. We found a program online that was basically just an electronic election where students this morning received an email at 8 a.m. with a link that connected them to an online ballot. It was really quick, simple. They hit submit, and then all the counting of the votes and everything was just done online, so it had nothing to do with people weren't spending a lot of time counting votes, and then the results were able to come out very quickly. We didn't face any issues with that, so that was exciting. Then hopefully we'll be able to do that in years to come. And then the sports this season have been all very successful. The girls lacrosse team and boys lacrosse team have made districts. The girls softball team has made districts. Hopefully the boys baseball team will make districts tomorrow. And then boys and girls track both won the league meet, and we also have several athletes competing at the state meet coming up. And then lastly, the microwaves are in the cafeteria and working great, and we've had no issues. I use it today and it's pretty clean, so that's exciting.
Wait, is the maximum amount of time 3 minutes?
I believe it's 2 minutes, and then you have to get in the back of the line.
Okay.
But there actually haven't been any lines, so it's been...
I just wondered because that's what I heard.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Could I just add one other senior event? The Community Awards Night
Yeah.
is Thursday...
May 31st.
Thank you. May 31st, beginning at 6:30 usually is when that starts in the auditorium. In relationship to that, I also neglected to say that I was privileged to attend the Chamber of Commerce's, the Scholarship Awards presentation, and Abigail Dwyer received a $2,000 scholarship this year from that organization, and it was very early in the morning, having breakfast, and Mr. Dion was there from the guidance office as well, so congratulations to Abigail.
Yeah. Good. All right, we're on to our rework, but we are missing a committee member. Shall we pass over and go back?
Were we maybe going to have the primary school start presentation?
I guess we'll do that. We had actually, the first was the superintendent screening committee finalist.
Oh, but
Jim is not
I was
here.
just going to say we should wait for Jim.
So we'll wait for Jim. Okay. Because that's just not okay. Okay. So we'll go, school committee representatives, okay, primary, okay, yeah, because Heidi's not here either.
Correct.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
Welcome, Mrs. Blaisdell. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me here tonight to present the school improvement plan, our progress over the past 2 years, and on the school improvement plan, and to discuss some changes to our parent handbook. On behalf of the parents, staff, and students of the Lunenburg Primary School, I'm pleased to be here to present this. This document that was produced, it took a lot of work on all parties, the School Advisory Council, the teachers, the different committees that were formed over the past couple of years, provided input to the goals and objectives that were developed for the plan. I'd like to start with the handbook changes, and I sent you a document just recently. It was titled Parent Handbook Changes and Additions. So I'm not going to go over the entire handbook unless you have some questions. I certainly can refer to those pages if you do. But if you go to your addition and changes, of course we updated the Lunenburg School Committee information as to the members that you are, as far as which positions you're in at this time, and if you're going to be doing some voting on that and changing that, we can update that before it goes out with your approval. We updated the transportation by adding the information about the cameras that are on the buses and what they're used for. We updated our code of conduct area, mainly focusing on the responsive classroom and the Yale Institute of Emotional Intelligence ruler curriculums that we are now teaching our children to develop habits of mind and to help them learn about emotional intelligence. By using these strategies and beliefs of responsive classroom philosophy and by teaching students about their emotions and the emotions of others, we believe that the best decisions for managing student behavior are based on a value system that maintain the dignity of each student in all situations. So we've updated this information to kind of expand upon what the emotional intelligence work this year has done for our students. Our students are now, using the 4 tenets of ruler. They come into their classroom and develop a charter, and that talks about how they want to feel each day when they come to school. They develop and learn about a mood meter using vocabulary, motion vocabulary, and where that lies on a mood meter. They use their literature that they're reading to identify the feelings characters are having there and then apply that to their mood meter. Children learned about a meta moment this year and how to bring their best selves to a situation that might be anxiety producing for them or causing them to be angry, and then how to utilize the strategies that have been taught to them to move themselves from a place a place where we are not learning now to a more productive place of learning. So all of those things, we felt parents needed to know where to go to find that information, as well as to know that, things like we had in here a contract that used to go back and forth between the families and outlined a little bit of Tiger and a little bit of code of conduct kind of rules and things that children would follow in a CARES pledge and promise. That wasn't being utilized anymore with these new tenets that we were utilizing. So we've taken that out and we've put this piece in. The school health services were updated as far as the immunization records that are required for 2018 to 2019, and I already fixed that number error there on your draft. The English language services were added to the program information. And then we added in all of our manuals throughout the district a safety and security section. Basically, what we did is we talked a lot about our EOP here, our emergency operation plans that were developed or being developed by the administrative staff and the support of our leadership teams that are specific to each one of our buildings. And this gives parents a little bit of information about our emergency preparedness and how we prepare our students for emergencies. So that was added, and a number of things were moved from different sections of our parent handbook to that section if it involved security. Security cameras section was added as we now have some beautiful cameras that are installed all around the building, as well as our PA system being up and running for both, for outside the building as well. And then the last part that was added was an update of the school advisory members. So that's a quick synopsis of our changes and additions to the parent handbook. Do I have any questions? Okay. So our school improvement plan that we're wrapping up was written as a 2-year plan, and we have developed another 2-year plan that we're proposing here for you tonight. To develop the school improvement plan, the school advisory council, the primary leadership team, and teachers looked at a variety of data pieces as well as factors for developing our plan. They examined the newly developed strategic plan to identify strengths and weaknesses at Lunenburg Primary School and used that strategic plan as a guide to build our school improvement plan. We used student data from the last several years, which was reviewed and identified as far as areas of strengths and weaknesses. We considered feedback and input from the curriculum task forces that were held over the last several years. We had conducted a reading survey pre-K through 5th grade that was used to identify areas of need. And then teacher reflection during faculty meetings were also used in developing this new plan. We stayed with the 3 main goals areas, the first one being academic. If you remember last year, our academic goal was mainly focused on math, science, and technology, with a little bit of social studies thrown in there for good measure. Teachers developed new units of study in social studies, science, and engineering, and added engineering lessons in our technology classes. Our specialists added engineering lessons there as well. The students are really enjoying those. Getting different problems presented and then them having to build shelters for the snowman or the leprechaun or those kind of things. It was really interesting to see how each time they were given a project, how their engineering improved. Where did I go? The task forces, there we go. The current goal is going to be, again, focused more on reading, personalized learning, enrichment, technology, and common assessments. So again, the goal also focuses on the 21st century skills of critical thinking, communication, creativity, collaboration, and independence, and developing those skills in our students. We are going to spend some professional development time using Project Read phonics training. We're going to provide several opportunities for teachers to process and strengthen the new phonics teaching and to collaborate together. We're going to help them establish common assessments for science, continue development of new science units and lessons from the revised science curriculum. We're going to use vertical teaming, K through 5, to review our current common assessments. One of the concerns that the teachers at the primary school are feeling is that we have a lot of assessments that we're doing throughout the year, as well as then our 3 times a year for our common assessments. And we understand what the common assessments are used for, but we feel like, especially at the primary school, a lot of time is taken to administer those assessments individually. So we really need to examine that as to what assessments are going to provide us with the most information in the least amount of time, so that we're not losing teaching time with our students. So that'll be a big undertaking, and it will need to be done pre-K through 5th grade as far as how do we keep that aligned, because we still want to keep that, that view of students' progress over time, and gather that information so that we have that to guide us as to where we need to work moving forward. And of course, it needs to guide our curriculum, and which areas we need to be strengthening. We're going to be exploring Footsteps to Brilliance as a tool for improving literacy and personalized learning for students, because personalizing learning is a big push in this school improvement plan. We're going to review current technology programs and the standards that were just updated in 2016. We're going to strengthen technology use during instruction and increase student use of technology as well in their lessons. And then we're going to develop one or more opportunities for students to share their learning with parents in the community. Okay? So all of those things that I just talked about tied in with the strategic plan's goals numbers 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Okay? Goal number 2, ensure that all students grow to their potential, develop empathy toward others, value the importance of self-discipline and independence to become contributing members of the community. I'm sure that that goal looks very familiar to you because that's exactly the same goals that we had in the last plan. And there's a big reason for that, because we're all about our social emotional learning for our youngest students. We want to make sure that we're teaching them the skills that they need to be those responsible community members, and that starts with being a responsible community member of a small classroom. So we kept that as previously written, because it can be set up with a number of objectives that are allowing us to continue to move our students forward in that area. So to create this environment, we're going to embrace and acknowledge positive behavioral supports and incentives, recognize feelings, teaching children to understand their emotions and those of others that are around them, and to regulate those emotions in order to bring our best selves to our learning. Teachers will strengthen responsive classroom and ruler for the 3rd year by defining school-wide rules that combine the tenets of ruler and responsive classrooms. So melding our rules with how do we want to feel, or how are those rules going to help us feel part of a community and in a good place for learning. Teachers will add 4 review lessons throughout the year to strengthen the students' use and understanding of emotions and how ruler strategies and skills help bring our best selves to school. And we're going to continue anti-bullying initiatives using Tiger. That was one of the reviews that had gone on during the year. Where are we with Tiger? Are people still feeling the value in Tiger? How can we strengthen that? And teachers would really like to think about developing a couple of lessons that will help spread that throughout the year. And that also ties really nicely in with the strategic plan, goal 1 and 2. One of the other things that is part of that goal is to evaluate current service learning projects on each grade level and to adjust the learning opportunities to match more of the elements that are in a service learning project. So that's going to require some professional development for our staff. We have about 50% of our staff that have gone through service learning professional developments. We want to bring the other 50% up to speed on where they should be in understanding the tenets of what a good service learning project looks like, and then look at our service learning that we have going on around the school. I mean, our children are involved in all sorts of community activities, raising funds for different programs, bringing in blankets for local cat and animal shelters, gathering food for the food bank, We have a giving tree, but those are all really teacher-driven because of our young children, and their focuses would be more on, their own classroom maybe and their own needs. So we really need to be thinking about that as a component that needs to be brought into the service learning projects so that they're more personalized. Goal number 3 is to strengthen school safety and security by developing an EOP, an emergency operation plan, and to ensure regular practice and review of processes and procedures. We're going to finalize the work that we started this year, by the end of this year, but then we need to roll that out to our staff and make sure our staff are very familiar with our emergency operation plans. Our leadership team will then develop a schedule for regular practice and procedures for shelter in place, lockdown, evacuation, and then to further define our reunification plan, which is, one of those things that is, you get through all of these plans of what you're going to do in the process, but then, after, how do we make sure we safely reunite our children with our families? And then teachers will review and strengthen the lessons that we've already started this year with our students to practice shelter-in-place, lockdown, evacuation, and to identify the next areas that we need to practice with our children. The other part of this is to continue to move forward with our Go bags, which are emergency bags that contain just about anything you would need if you had to leave the building and be on your own. So there's water, there's flashlights, there's gloves, there's a medical pack, there's all sorts of things in these bags that we've already talked about purchasing. Then, we need to incorporate those in the procedures of how do those go with us, what else is in the bag, and what do we need to have for that emergency bag. And it's a bag that's designed to grab and go and be with you in an emergency situation.
So that's for all the students?
That would be for each classroom.
One for each classroom?
One for each classroom.
Okay.
Yes. And that goal aligns nicely with the strategic plan goal 1. So that's a little synopsis of the school improvement plan. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have for me. Nice work.
Well done. Very well done.
Great.
Well, yes, what's part of this team?
It's already late.
Oh, it's okay. It's all right. I'm sure if you have any questions, just give me a call, okay? All right.
I didn't when I reviewed it earlier, so.
That's ridiculous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Blaisdell.
Okay, now that Mr. Levesque is here, we can go back to number 8, committee reorganization. Okay? Okay. And you have your... So, where's that list?
It's a long list.
It's a long one, so...
It's in there.
Yeah, I got it. You have the list for the reorg?
Yeah, I do. I'm digging through to send it email. Here it is.
Okay.
Do you need it?
Nope, I got mine. So, first, the superintendent. We start with the chairperson.
Did the superintendent start it?
Not,
No,
yes.
okay.
I
Oh, you
think
go. Okay.
I can go ahead and jump in and
Yeah.
say that the floor is open for nominations for
Oh,
the
okay, good.
position of chair for the school committee. Any nominations?
I nominate Heather Shorga.
Second.
I second.
Nomination is second. Any further nominations?
Who else wants it? Okay.
Well, we are
No, I know, we're-
in a very transitional time, so, among many reasons, so.
That's all right.
So with that, I'd suggest that the committee cast a unanimous ballot in support of Mrs. Roca being chair for the upcoming year. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Now you can take it.
Now I can take it, right? Okay. And so, vice chairperson, I'll take a nomination. Anybody nominate?
I nominate Ms. Bertrand.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay. Are there any other nominations on the table? No? So
I nominated you. Why were you looking at
I
me?
know. So are we all in favor then?
Yeah.
Okay,
Aye.
so that's Wendy. Okay, now, secretary
Wendy.
was never really officially Ms. Archibald. We did not change that last time. However, she did say that she would take on any role that Dawn Marie had last time. So unless one of you would like that, I'll take a nomination.
I'll nominate Carol.
Okay.
I'll second Carol.
All in favor of Carol for secretary? Okay. The member and member, we just keep the same? Do we have to nominate them as members?
No.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
Next year.
Okay, we have to approve and continue all existing policies in effect for the ensuing year ahead that are in place, our policies.
I'll make a motion to approve to continue all existing policies in effect for the ensuing year.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. I'll take a motion to approve to authorize student activity funds for the following amounts: primary school, 2,000; Turkey Hill Elementary School, 2,000; Lunenburg Middle School, 5,000; Lunenburg High School, 10,000.
Did you make that motion?
No, I need a motion.
Motion to approve and
Exactly.
authorize student activity funds for the following amounts: primary school, $2,000; Turkey Hill Elementary School, $2,000; Lunenburg Middle School, $5,000; Lunenburg High School, $10,000.
And a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
I did have a question about that.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Was this on one of the policies that was not emailed out?
It is exactly the same in one of the policies. The
Right.
numbers are the same.
But do we need to approve the policy before we approve this?
No, because this is standard.
It's standard, okay.
It's been approved the same.
The numbers,
Yeah.
that wasn't changed from the current policy that's in place.
Right.
Those particular amounts were the amounts in the old policy as well.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
So that
Thank
didn't
you.
change, okay. So all in favor then?
Aye.
Right, okay. Approved a waiver to allow food and beverages with lids in the Lunenburg Middle High School auditorium for annual town meeting. Very important.
Is this for every annual town
Yes,
meeting?
that we
or
do it every
No,
year.
we
this
do it
time.
annually.
And
Well,
for
next year.
special town meeting
Because
as
if
well?
people aren't good, then you have the
Oh, for our
option.
special
Right, okay.
fall town meeting, does this cover special fall town meeting?
Well, it could if you added.
Oh, I have to add that?
I would move to amend it to include
Yes.
special town meeting.
Okay. So can you reword it? Make the
I'll make a
motion.
motion to approve a waiver to allow food/beverages with lids in the Lunenburg Middle High School auditorium for annual town and special meetings.
Okay.
And special town meetings.
Okay.
Special town meetings.
Annual town and special town meetings.
Okay. So all in favor? Who's got the
Aye.
second on that?
I'll second that.
Okay. Then all?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so we need to appoint to existing committees. So the official voting delegate for the MASC is usually the chair, correct?
Yes.
Historically, yeah.
So then, we're going to do this as one slate, right? Superintendent, we can do this as
Yes,
one
you
slate?
can.
Okay. Legislative, we'll just keep that the same, and spokesperson.
Yes.
Okay. And then, where are we after that? This list is so long. Oh my, it's 2 pages. Okay, then,
I think if you've done the other ones, you could return to this, so you could move on with the
yeah,
other
can we,
business.
yeah,
Yes.
and then we'll come back to this at the end? And other,
In
okay.
fact, most of those committees, there's a couple you might want to select. You can even take another couple weeks and do it at the June meeting as well.
Okay,
The critical ones are done at this point.
okay.
So
All right.
we're tabling the appointments to the
For
committees
right now, for the moment, yeah.
Okay,
Because we want to go on to,
got it.
oh, we did that. There's policies, right? Yeah. Okay, so now it's the superintendent screening committee report and finalists. Yes, please come. Dorothy.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So you are at a point in your search where a lot of work has been done, and there's still a significant amount of work left to do. But first of all, I want to add my thanks to Heather's thanks earlier in the meeting to the screening committee. It was a wonderful group to work with. People did a yeoman's amount of work in a short amount of time to bring you the 3 finalists that they're recommending to you tonight. and I think you're in a really good spot. Just to review where we've been up to this point, there were 30 applicants for the position. I have to say, this is the latest in the year that I've started a search and was a little bit worried, but 30 applicants is a good-sized pool. That's about as big as we ever see. And I was also impressed with the strength of the pool. The search committee decided to interview 9 of those people and spent many hours in the library classroom talking with the people, and then came to a real good decision of who to move forward. So tonight I'll talk to you a little bit about who the candidates are. You have the information in front of you, and then we'll talk about where the process goes from here. And please, excuse me, feel free to ask any questions. So there are 3 finalists. They have all been notified. They're all ready to move forward and excited to move forward with the rest of the process. The first one is Dr. Kate Burnham. Kate is currently the Special Education Director in North Andover, where she is serving her 2nd year. Prior to that, she spent 5 years as an Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum and Staff Development in Wilmington. She's also worked as the Director of Curriculum Instruction and Assessment and as a Curriculum Instruction Specialist. Her classroom teaching experience is as a science teacher. She got her doctorate in Educational Leadership and Learning from Rivier University in Nashua, New Hampshire. And she has a Certificate of Advanced Graduate Studies, a Master's in Education, and a Bachelor's from Fitchburg State. She also is a adjunct professor at Fitchburg State. The second finalist is Dr. Tara Hanley. Dr. Hanley is currently the principal of the Varnum Elementary School in North Middlesex Regional School District, where she's been for 4 years. Prior to that, she served as the principal of Ruggles Lane School in Quabbin, and she's also been the assistant principal at the Varnum School. Her teaching experience is as a teacher of children with special needs. And she holds a doctorate in educational leadership from Northeastern and a master's and a bachelor's degree from Fitchburg State. The third finalist is Dr. Brian Regan. Dr. Regan is currently the principal of Hudson High School, where he's been for the past 7 years. He's also served as the principal of Shrewsbury High School, where he was for 5 years. He was an assistant principal in Bedford as well, and his classroom experience is as a music teacher at the secondary level. Dr. Regan holds a doctorate in educational leadership from Northeastern as well. He also has a master's from UMass Boston, and his bachelor's is from Boston University. So there's much more information about the finalists in the folder that's in front of you. You have their resumes. The resume is a public document. Other information are personal documents that are not public. So just so you know that information going forward. So those are the finalists. And the next step in the process is for them to come and have site visits in Lunenburg. So the Lunenburg community has a chance to meet them. They have a chance to tour the districts, get to know the community a little bit. I did that backwards. The first step, yes. The first step, I'm sorry. The first step is for members of the school committee to go to the districts where the candidates currently are. And talk to people in the district about their background, their style, generally about their candidacy. There's 3 days outlined for that. You have that schedule in your packet. Tuesday, May 29th is the visit to Hudson. Wednesday, May 30th is the visit to North Middlesex, and Thursday, May 31st is the visit to North Andover. I would really encourage anyone who possibly can to take the time to go on those visits. It's a really nice opportunity to get a more of a feel for the candidates and hear what people who work with them, who work for them, and who have been associated with them as parents or as students, if appropriate, or as colleagues, have their impressions of the candidate and give you more of a feel of how they might fit as a candidate in Lunenburg. Heather and I talked about the different groups that are appropriate to talk to in each of the different districts. The candidates are setting up those site visits. I asked them, first of all, not to just pull people in to create a group if it wasn't appropriate. For instance, Dr. Hanley's not going to have you talk to students because elementary students talking to is probably not as appropriate as some of the other candidates who might have high school students who can talk to you. Some of them may spend more or less time liaising at this point with municipal officials. We also asked them to try and keep the visit tight and perhaps on the shorter side, knowing that you had some time constraints so that more people could possibly have the opportunity to go on those visits. So once I have those schedules, I will get them to Heather, who can get them to you. Any questions about the site visits? You have in the packet some information about sort of planning and getting ready for a site visit. That will give you some background of how to approach it. Any questions about that?
I'm presuming the timeframes for these site visits would occur during a school day?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So not an evening or
No.
early morning
No.
necessarily? Okay.
While the building or while the district is in
There's
operation.
hustle and bustle.
Yes,
Yes.
I would just want to make sure that was
Yes.
understood.
Yes.
Yeah, we want to see them in action.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So now, the site visits to Lunenburg, which will give the Lunenburg community an opportunity to see the candidates, give them an opportunity to talk to different people in the district. Those visits will again be most of the day. Mr. Cassidy is working on planning those visits right now. So they'll have the candidates will have the opportunity to talk to central office staff, to talk to people in each building. There'll be a community meet and greet where members of the community or maybe faculty that didn't get to see them when they were in that building can come and talk to them. And then in the evening of each of those visits will be the school committee interview. So Thursday, May 31st, a little bit of a busy day of coming and going there. Dr. Hanley will be here. On Monday, June 4th, Dr. Regan will be here, and on Tuesday, June 5th, Dr. Burnham will be here. And then I believe that you are scheduled on Wednesday, June 6th to have your deliberations and make a decision of who to appoint. So a lot of times what we also do with those site visits to the district is give people just a very broad, like 3-question feedback form that to fill out and get to you so that you are not only are they here, but people are giving you their impressions of the strengths that they see and the fit
When they
to the
come
district.
here.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So you'll have the opportunity.
That's good. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So any questions on that?
Do you have a question?
So the big question that I have for you is around the interview for each candidate. Because one of the things that you'll need to do is decide what questions to be asking the candidates. And generally what we do on this, because it's formulating the questions, doing it in public when the meeting might be available to the candidates isn't always the best way to have them ready for the interview. So usually what we do is have a little bit of a discussion of what topics you might want to ask. And then people can say, take topics, get questions to me, and I will give you a formatted list of questions for each candidate. Yeah. In your folder.
In the folder.
Yep. So right now, you don't need to think of the questions right now, but you might want to just have a little bit of a discussion about what topics you want to make sure are included, and then get your questions to me by that Monday, and I can format them and get them back to you for the interviews. Generally, you have sort of the same set of questions for each candidate. Can certainly be tailored. There's not a requirement that you ask exactly the same questions of every candidate. There's always the opportunity for follow-up, and there's the opportunity if there's a particular question to ask a particular candidate based on their background. That's certainly fair game. And the other thing to think about is how long that interview will last. Typically, it's an hour or 75 minutes. You're not doing them sequentially. It gives you a little bit more flexibility, but generally that's around the amount of time that's planned for the interviews.
And we have this room.
Say that again?
We're going to do it in this room.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
Did you look at the question? She wants to know what topics you want to cover.
So can I tell you just generally, so not just to
give you a blank. Generally, you
Yeah.
want to make sure you're asking a question about leadership style, a question about budget, how they've worked with creating a team. You want to ask a few questions about data and assessment and students and so forth. So if you look in the index of that question document, you'll see some broad topics that you might want to think about. And if you're not ready to do it right now and want to get your questions to me afterwards, I can, what the question topics that you think of after you've had some time to think about it a little bit, I can sort of mediate making sure that you have a good representation of questions and that, 4 of you didn't ask budget questions, so you've got a whole bunch of budget questions, but no questions about other topics. So we can kind of work that out as we go along. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Is there any insight into what questions have already been asked? That the screening committee has answers to?
In many ways, that doesn't matter because you haven't heard those questions and answers. So if questions are repeated, it's really not a big deal.
Okay.
And, for the most part, you're going to be covering some of the same topics. So, the questions might be similar, they might be totally from a different direction, and that's all fair game and a good idea.
It'll be interesting to see if anyone changes their answers. For somebody like me who sat on the other committee.
Or there might be questions that
We missed.
either missed or I wanted everyone to hear their answer.
Yes, absolutely.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's a good point.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
I will tell you that screening committees generally don't ask any questions about school committee relations.
No,
Because usually if the screening committee wants to ask, we suggest, wait till the school committee, let the school committee ask that one.
So do you guys want to take a look at this at home?
I'd like to reflect on that.
Yes, okay.
Yeah, I feel like I need more than...
Yeah, I know.
So I'm trying to think of the calendar backwards. So if you're interviewing on the 6th and can get the questions to me by the Friday before, which would be the 1st?
No, we're interviewing the first person on the 31st.
Oh, you're interviewing the first person on the 31st?
Yeah, we have to
Okay.
get you them.
The 6th is our night to
Yeah,
deliberate
right.
here.
So we need
By the
really,
long weekend.
maybe, over the long weekend.
So
Yep.
this coming Monday,
This-
so if you
that would
came in
be-
on Tuesday morning, it would be there for you?
Yep, that would be fantastic.
Okay.
That would be fantastic.
Okay.
So
All right, and how many questions should we each write up for you to review and write and
There'll
send
be
back?
5 of you?
5, yes, there
I
are
would
5.
say no more than 3.
3 each.
3 each.
Okay. 3 each, figure out which topics are important to you, that you want the answers for.
And then you'll
And then we
craft
might
to
have
make sure we don't
have overlap.
Yes, and I'll make sure there's no overlap. I can get in touch
That's
with
what she-
people if there's a
Okay.
huge overlap,
Okay.
and we can work that out. The other, I forgot, so,
Okay, so that works.
Yeah,
So your
that
deadline
works.
is Monday.
you have a
Right.
question?
3 questions each.
Specific questions.
Specific.
3 questions
Take
to
a look,
Dorothy
there are
for Monday.
examples or samples.
Oh, yes,
Yeah,
that's what I was,
it's
these
all-
there's no requirement that you take these questions. These are just to get you started thinking. If you like a question, go ahead and use it. If just to give you a flavor of the type of questions that you can ask. But don't feel like you have to pick 3 of these questions. If you want to make up your own, go right ahead.
Might I suggest that we do more than 3 in case we have overlap?
Well, she'll kick it back to you, and
really-
she'll know what we haven't covered, and
Are
maybe suggest
we
a...
sending them to you or?
No, her.
We're sending them to you.
Dorothy,
okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then she'll suggest maybe a different topic
Yep.
that we might not have all covered, and she would know.
And for a 75-minute interview, it's like 12 to 14 questions
Yeah.
is what it comes down to.
12
And we're submitting more than that, so.
Yes. So some of them will be kicked off, or we won't.
Some of the
get to.
interviews that we just did,
Or-
we had
or could
14
you-
questions and it took 45 minutes, so
It depends on
45
how,
minutes to an hour.
well, first of all,
depends on the
sometimes the
questions.
questions are multi-part, right?
Yeah.
So one question is really several. And so some of them are more in-depth than others. And one would hope that there's some depth to the answers too. So we had, what did we have? We had 13 questions. 13 questions for a 75-minute interview.
And it seemed like the really in-depth one was the very last one. That was the tedious one. But,
Yes,
yeah.
yeah.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
But we don't have to ask them in the same order, correct? When we ask our questions, they can be a different order for each candidate, or?
They could. I mean, I'll do the same thing. For the screening committee, what I
Right.
did was, I took the questions and made up, here's the question, here's space for you to write down notes about the answer. And you had, everyone had one copy of that sheet for every interview. So you had a place to write down notes.
And who was asking each question?
Okay.
Okay. That was helpful.
Yep. So, I mean, we
do
we
the
can
same
mix
thing?
it up. We can mix
Okay.
it up
Okay.
different ways
All right.
for each interviewee, if that's what you want to do, sure.
Oh, well, it's up to you. Do you guys want to have them answer the same question at the same time in each interview, or do you want to mix it up? It would be the same interview for all three, then you could see how they all...
Yeah, it was a nice apples to apples when they were
Right,
going in the
okay.
same order,
Yeah.
because sometimes one question influenced how they might answer the following question, because they were sort of related, or they had their mindset on a certain track, so they went a certain direction. So I would recommend the same order.
For each one. Okay.
So we did with what we're doing right now at the principal screening committee
Right.
as well.
So that's how...
We had assigned questions.
Yeah,
And we had
okay.
the specific order.
Okay.
So in that packet, or on the front of that packet, you have my contact information. dpresser@masc.org, easy to remember, to send your questions to.
Okay.
Any other questions for me?
Question on the floor.
There's a question on the floor. Mr. Randall?
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Given it's an open meeting, is there any opportunity if someone from the audience has a question?
Nope.
No opportunity for staff?
Nope, because now it's our questions. Now you can come to meet and greet and ask that question in a casual setting of the meet and greet if you wanted to.
And you had also mentioned people in the audience would be able to write down
No, that's
notes for...
Oh, no, that's
that is during
as people are visiting the Lunenburg.
the screen. They come here for
As
their
they're going, like teachers that meet them, or parents that meet them, or
Okay.
administrators that meet them, we'll give them a feedback form
Okay.
that you'll get.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, not
to look through.
Not people.
Not the people there,
No.
not a survey from them. Okay, got it.
Any other questions?
Nope.
Okay. And if you think of any, you know where to find me. So feel free to call or to,
Only other question I have for you is how many people do you recommend go to their site visits?
as many as can.
Okay.
They will want to know how many people to expect
Okay.
before, but if one or two people more show up because you find you can make it, they'll accommodate.
Okay.
But as many people from the committee as can. One of the things you'll be able to do on the 6th is the people who went on the visits will be able to share their feedback from the visits with the other, with the other members. But having different people, having more than one person on the site visit to be able to have different perspectives can be very helpful because different people pick up different things.
Yeah.
So as many people as can possibly make it would be great.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank
Thank you
you.
very much.
Thank you. So quiet in here. I'm so excited, and it's just so quiet. I know it's a lot for you guys to take in.
We had a few days to take it in.
Yeah. Okay, so now, where do you want to bounce to?
Just one question.
Thank you,
Chair.
Mr. Archer-Preddy.
You're welcome.
Thank you for sitting on the committee.
Heather, one question.
Yeah.
On the interview nights, we have them scheduled?
What?
We have those scheduled already?
We have the nights,
The
yeah.
night schedule, okay.
Yeah.
Is that at
7
7
p.m.?
each night?
Well, no, because Mr. Cassidy's working on that.
Okay.
Oh,
So he was working on the
he's
schedule
working
for
on
the day, yes.
schedule
So I'm not
for the
sure.
interview. and
Yeah.
We'll figure out the time for the, okay.
Yeah.
Got it, thank you.
Can I just
Yes.
comment on that?
So the finalist site visit really looks like kind of a meeting at central office, 15 minutes, and then an hour visit at each school, and then concluding the day, meeting central office staff, and meeting with the superintendent, of course. There'll be a break, and at 5:45, the meet and greet will begin for 45 minutes, and then the school committee interviews will start promptly at 6:30.
Okay, 6:30.
6:30
Okay.
every single night.
Okay. And then open
as
to
a-
the public?
The meet and greet is open to the public,
And
as
so
well
is
as
the interview.
interviews.
And they will be here in Zoom.
We had talked about the middle school collaborative room for the interviews.
That's
Oh, this is it? Okay, all right, just check. You crossed me up tonight because I was here and I was supposed to be in another room.
Okay, so the meet and greet is at 5:45, right?
Yes.
And then 6:30, the interviews. I just want to make sure I have the right information if people ask. And I know, okay.
I will ask the committee if you want this room arranged any different way. Just let us know. We can accommodate that.
I would like kind of a U-ish.
Yeah,
me too.
definitely you.
So that we can
You want
all look at
the-
each
like a
other.
U-shape?
Yeah.
Definitely. Yes.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah, sounds great. Thank you.
okay, thank you.
Did we, I'm
What?
not sure if I missed when we will find out times on the site visits.
She's going, when they get the...
As soon as they
yes.
do, we didn't, but there's no
No, we
definitive
did not
time.
have a
Okay.
definitive.
Okay.
That's why I was just clarifying, it was between school window times.
It's
Yes,
definitely
no, I
zero
figured
to
that.
To like an 8 to 4, it's somewhere in...
But at 4 hours, she's trying to keep it to 4 hours, so it's not all day for us to go. So, we will, well, Carol's not here, so I'm not sure how to figure out who's going on what site visit.
Well, if
Do
they
we
want
have-
as many as possible, then everyone just goes to all that they can.
Right, and it's hard to
Okay.
know, not knowing the windows or the
And
time.
then she would be a swing one night. It might get added as soon as she knows.
Okay, but are there going to be any days that none of you can go? I can go to every
Again, it's
single
going to depend
one.
on time.
That's, yeah. So I just want to know, that I'm not going by myself to any of these.
The 29th is the one that I cannot go to. I'm at a training, but the other two I can...
You can go, okay.
I'll make
And I do believe Carol said she can definitely go to the 29th.
Okay, then you
So at least
will
I have-
never be alone.
Okay.
I believe I would have the greatest flexibility on Wednesday, the 30th.
Okay. Okay, and that one is...
Due to location
Location,
mostly.
that's what I was going to say. All right.
Hudson, I think, would be out, and the 31st, unfortunately, for me, is stuff.
But I do, are you available on the Monday when that...
I'm
the Hudson
available.
one?
So when we're here,
Yes.
I've got better flexibility.
all right. When they come here.
Yes, the 4th I'm in, the 5th, again, I can do a chunk in the
Okay.
morning.
Mhm. I just want to make sure everyone gets a sense of meeting them before they sit down and just do an interview.
Right.
So where
So
yeah.
on Monday, assuming morning hours, I can do that.
Okay.
On the 29th.
No, it's a Tuesday.
Oh, Tuesday, sorry.
Tuesday because it's the
Tuesday,
day after when they go to DC.
Wednesday, the 30th, I've got some flexibility as well. So.
Okay.
So for me, I get to meet them all if
You-
I do
yeah.
Wednesday, Monday, Tuesday.
Yeah, so it's good that you get them all.
So I will get them all.
31st
Okay.
might be a difficult one to put.
Okay.
For you, which day?
The 31st.
31st.
But let's see what the
what
times
times. Okay.
are.
All right.
And then I can Google the
Okay.
distance
So
and figure it out.
the 31st, we are going to need to find someone else to present
To
our
present
award.
our award in the evening.
I
Superintendent.
usually, if the school committee isn't there, I'll take
Will you
this
take
award
that?
and
Okay.
present.
Yes, yes.
I was unaware that it was the evening.
No,
Thought
yeah.
maybe it was during the day.
Right.
So, and when you had offered to take it, since I was going to be gone. Okay. So, all right. So now we're going to move on to a different topic. The screening finalists. School committee to represent the charter review committee. Is that going to be part of our reorg? Are we going to come back to that? Should we just do reorg now? Or do you want to do the improvement plan, facility use fees, and then go?
So many members of our audience are here. And
Yes,
are going to
let's do their presentation, and then we can do our
So I was
reorg.
wondering even if Mr. Londa, because his will go fairly quickly, if we
Okay.
might put him in?
Yes, absolutely. We're flexible. It's on the agenda. It doesn't matter about the time. Correct?
If you don't mind, Mrs. Champagne.
Okay.
And Mr. Short, I know you've been patient. Thank you.
Oh, Mr. Short is on here? Oh, where is he? Okay. Oh, my God.
He was hanging out.
I was wondering why he was here. I thought maybe you just wanted to hear about the names of the people. He was super excited. Yeah. Okay, Mr. Londa.
So this is a revision of the facility use rates from the last meeting. What we discussed in the last meeting was to add 3 different levels for grass fields. So we added a game field, a primary school field, and a practice field that more or less tracks with the quality of the condition of the field. So we've done that. What's not on here is the concession stand, and we thought that would be appropriate to hold that for discussion with the concession stand policy.
We'll figure it out.
The only thing on this version here, some of the asterisks are not listed, but I'll go over what they were. So the first asterisk on the lower schedule, essentially just suggest, we've got where various youth sports groups are now doing contracts for use of for large-scale use of facilities, and that's what that asterisk stands for. It just says that that youth sports will have these contracts in place. The 2 asterisks for the kitchen is the same as above, which is that the kitchen staff is required if you're renting out the kitchen. And then the third, which is up for the non-profit Lunenburg organization, that when you last saw that, I had that that required that a Lunenburg organization represent 75%, I believe I had. Our policy says 50 in the written policy, so I would suggest that it either be 50 unless we want to raise it higher. But
So that would be the Lunenburg organization would be 50% Lunenburg.
At least 50% Lunenburg. We're seeing, we have seen in the past AAU basketball, and we are currently hosting Leominster, Lunenburg lacrosse, and those are the 2 organizations that really and I think what we're trying to do there is make sure that they are at least treated as fairly as any of the youth sports groups under this policy.
Correct. Okay.
And in case you thought you missed the meeting, it was actually policy subcommittee. Dr. Londa had presented to originally.
Because it's a policy matter.
So, I can tell you that at our policy subcommittee, because we were doing all sorts of policy in addition to fees, we had good attendance and good input. The input around the fees were that folks were reflecting that they felt they were fair, and especially when we went to leveling the fields and not charging the same for the field that's out by Turkey Hill Middle School. That's sort of some ground with some grass in it. We changed, as we charge for the sodded front fields.
Correct.
So that was the primary change here. The rest represented a small increase from what the current fees are. Correct, Mr. Londa?
That's correct. It's like a 2% increase.
So recommendation is to approve those fees for the 2018-2019 school year.
I need a motion. Someone would like to.
I move to accept the facility use rates for the proposed schedule effective July 1st, 2018, as presented.
I'll second. All in favor? Aye. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Londa.
Thank you, Mr. Londa.
Okay. Curriculum updates? Or you want to do Heidi first? Heidi's looking, she's like, me, please.
Eric gave me a hard time, so I...
He did? I can't see her. He's hiding. You barely can see her.
Very...
Oh,
A very full day, Mrs.
Oh, that's right, Mrs. Boyle is on here for that too, right?
Mrs. Champagne.
I know, your day was long. I know.
But productive, right? Makes you feel better.
Very productive.
Principal candidate
Yeah.
interviews to now presenting your handbook and school improvement.
So much
plan. Welcome.
excitement going on here in Lunenburg.
Absolutely.
And a
Busy,
dance,
productive place.
a dance recital right now too.
Especially for any candidates watching.
So in terms of the updates to the handbook, the superintendent had recommended that I send you sort of the short version of that, so it's just the specific changes. I don't know if you have any questions. I think they must be similar to what Mrs. Blaisdell presented in terms of including some policies around the insufficient funds for lunches, the emergency preparedness, the dress code. Was happy to simplify that for my elementary students so we don't have to worry about the length of their shorts. The sheltered English instruction, and I asked our nurse to update the school immunization requirements. So are there any questions about the updates?
Just one thing I wanted, and I think we want to all do this, I think you use slightly different language for the emergency than in the primary school. It says safety and security, and yours is emergency preparedness. Is that correct? Are those
First
sections
title
the
is
same?
safety and security, and then underneath is the title emergency preparedness.
I just wondered
Hold on,
for our
hold on, I
parents,
don't
if
have
we all use the
Yes, we like
same
to use
major
the same
title,
language.
it would be helpful to
Yeah.
do. So,
Hold on, let me
I'm
find
pulling
it.
it up, yeah.
Okay. See, I don't have the primary school in front of me.
Hold on.
Heidi, here's...
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, she has, it says safety and security and then emergency preparedness right under it.
Okay.
So what you have is, you need a safety and security where the red is, and you need to move the red under the first paragraph.
So it's just the...
See, it's just kind of the formatting too.
It's the format?
Yeah.
A little bit, yes.
Okay.
So maybe in your book, that's how it looks, and then, but you just pulled out this section.
Right.
So,
Yeah,
but we
you
will
see-
make
but you
sure
have
that
the
that's
same for that.
consistent.
Just that your emergency underneath and then safety and security, like, title.
Right on top.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay?
Yep. Absolutely.
Consistency.
It just aids our readers who have children in various buildings.
No, it does.
Thank you.
And then in terms of the school improvement plan, we have 3 goals. One's around curriculum, one's around the social emotional needs of students, and one is around professional development. And so goal 1 is specifically around improving student proficiency in reading and writing. And in terms of measurability, we're going to be examining the DRA scores and the Ames Web scores. The problem with MCAS scores is they always come too late, right? So they come in the fall of the next year. So it's hard to use those. And so, again, I don't... Do you want me to read each bullet point, or you had...
No, I know them all, I helped make them.
Right, so...
And we received them.
I received them.
You received them, right? You've had a chance to review them, so
We got electronic copies.
Right.
Yeah, so we don't need them all
Okay.
read out loud.
All right, so it's around literacy.
For the audience.
I was going to say for the whole audience reading our goal, reading what
The goal.
our goals are.
Just reading the goal, right?
The goal.
So again,
Not
goal
the
1, to develop and implement an effective school-wide literacy action plan for improving student proficiency in reading and writing as evidenced by DRA and Ames Web scores.
And you have a baseline for those
The
scores?
DRA and Ames Web scores. for-
Yeah, so we'll have beginning of the year.
And then, yeah, those are
Mid-year
during the
and-
year, as opposed to MCAS, which is at end of the year, and then you don't get that information until the next year.
Till
Right.
October.
How far back do you have that historically, and can you see a trend? with those?
For DRA scores,
Yeah.
2 years. And so we're using Ames Web Plus, so that's actually just this year.
That's me.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the new version and really improved version. Okay?
Yeah.
Goal 2, to enhance the social emotional learning prevention programs and school security to ensure a safe environment is evidenced by beginning and end of year student surveys. And I should add that I tried to align the goals with our strategic visioning plan of the district. Okay. And then goal 3 is to plan and manage annual PD opportunities that ensure well-targeted individual and district-wide professional growth, and then as evidenced by or as measured by staff surveys, both around what professional development opportunities would they like to have, and then what was the effectiveness of the professional development that they received. Right? Did they feel that it was worthy of their time and effort? So are there any particular questions around these?
No.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Heidi.
Thank you.
So I would recommend approval of the changes to the handbook for both the primary school and the primary school and Turkey Hill Elementary School for the 2018-2019 school year as presented.
So I'll take a motion.
Can I do a so moved?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
And then I'd also like to recommend approval of the school improvement plans for the Turkey Hill Elementary School and the primary school as presented.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
And I express our gratitude to your teams, all your teachers, your school councils, and everyone that, and thank you to you for all the work that you put into those. It's very exciting work.
Yes, good work. All good. Okay, then, now we're on to curriculum updates.
I believe we are.
Correct? Is that what we're going to do?
Unless you want to do the appointment.
No, we're going to do the curriculum updates
I didn't
before we
know
do
if
the
Mr.
reorg.
Eversole-
You're okay with that, right, Mr. Eversole? Okay. So, Mr. Short first? Or you guys, did you do rock, paper, scissors for it?
Order.
Such a gentleman. Thank you.
That's why we did it.
This is actually not at all connected to the curriculum update, but I got to meet Commissioner Riley this afternoon, and I'm really excited about Education in Massachusetts. Not that I wasn't before, but I'm really excited to see what he's going to do in the next few years.
Commissioner Riley is bringing a lot of new, as we were talking about the amount of time in testing, Mrs. Blaisdell had mentioned spending so much time in assessment, and I had the opportunity to meet and talk to Commissioner Riley last week as well at an MASS gathering. And, he's talking about some very innovative things that moving to Commonwealth. One of them is, computer scoring of written responses. And I knew I'd get that look from the English teacher in the room on that, and he knew he would get that reaction as well. But he says it's really important that we explore these things because time is of the essence. But that was after he talked about just understanding how much time students and teachers and computers are taken offline to do MCAS and looking for other ways to maybe spread those assessments out so they're not all jammed into May, primarily April and May, and try to limit that time as much as possible to be really smart in terms of how those assessments are being undertaken. So, and a real focus back on teaching and learning.
And that those assessments may not actually assess that student's strength. So what is that doing to a student who's taking those assessments?
So a lot of
that's exciting.
Commissioner Riley is very engaging, and there's a lot of energy that he's bringing to the conversation in the Commonwealth as well. It's an exciting time for everyone.
So, speaking of exciting, English 9 through 12 curriculum.
You like English?
So you guys do have it in front of you, or you've seen it?
I don't know.
Well, yes.
Okay, yes, probably electronic.
We don't have a hard copy.
Okay, that's fine.
You just had
That's all right.
pretty memory.
I'm sure you do.
That's all right.
Okay, so just a brief, and brief overview is why we're not K through 12. We just didn't love how it was being set up because when you're talking English, you're working, by the time you get to high school, instead of a lot of new information, you're working on sophistication of skills. And so a lot of these posts and rails that they were doing in the younger years, we felt didn't exactly correlate as well to high school. And a lot of what we do, I can teach in 10th grade the formal essay using a variety of novels. And so we're after more, what are our core assessments and what are our core novels? So what we went through and did, we did base it off of the frameworks, and we actually went through and chose frameworks for each grade level, that here's what that grade level, well, that course, we tried to do it more by course, what that course will focus on. But then there were some that kept coming up as really important, that we should be focusing on all levels. In fact, we all talked a lot about using technology in media and how we're using it and how we're interpreting it. And so our document actually opens up with, here are standards from the frameworks that everyone should be working on. And then we broke them down by class. And then where ours looks different from other people, we put enduring understandings at the top, that these are the guiding ideas within that course. And then we broke it into core texts and resources. So what are the short stories, major poems, major titles that we're saying every freshman, everyone who takes, we're calling Foundations in Literature, everyone who's taking English 1 studies these texts. And then we broke it into core assignments. So here, no matter which teacher they've had, they will have covered these core assignments. We then put in additional choice texts because there's a lot of supplementary material we add to that. And some of that is too, sometimes we've noticed that senior year they may have done something that these kids have done sophomore year, and just that we've got this document that's easy for people to see. And then any important literary terms, ideas, or themes. So for example, in 10th grade we've really tried to build up connecting mental health to the 10th grade curriculum because it's actually a pretty natural fit. So that doesn't fit a literary idea or a key term, but it's an important theme within that year. So we put that in there. So we think it's going to be actually pretty user-friendly to new teachers coming in to see what that is in each grade level. We also think, I know a lot of it at the younger grades was, parents can see what their kids should be learning that year. In the high school, we always give out a syllabus as part of our class, and so a lot of what we're talking about with like the can-do statements, we kind of feel our syllabus is that, and we already have that embedded in our syllabus, and it just becomes redundant. But a parent could easily look at the page, or maybe two, especially if you take away what the key standards are. But if you look at, here's really in graph format what your child will be doing. New teachers, actually Julia Callahan is a new teacher this year with us, and we started this document last year, and I was just able to share this document with her, and she's like, wow, that was a huge help. Like, I got exactly what I should be doing and covering, and what resources were there for me that I could add as supplemental text. So that's it kind of in a nutshell.
I like it. That was beautiful. Yeah, that was really great. Yeah.
Spent a lot of time working on it, so I hope I know it well. We didn't overly delineate honors and AP. They follow the same core curriculum, and we've worked really hard on making sure. And then I happen to teach a class that's geared towards juniors and seniors who struggle a bit more. And again, we try to follow that same core curriculum. So that core is there no matter what.
Okay.
And then we add on.
The supplemental material can help. The supplemental material then can
be added on. Correct. And we're trying to keep our required material compact enough that it does allow teachers and students to be able to add on. Like, I was able to add on a book with my seniors this year because we had the extra time because we covered the core material, and they actually were able to add a book that most of them didn't love, but we were happy we read it in the end. So to give some of that flexibility as well.
So that really wraps up the ELA piece, and we're going to hear from math and science as well. And I just wanted to let the committee know that next year, the health and integrated arts and foreign language curriculums are scheduled to be refreshed.
Okay.
And then we'll be ready to restart the cycle, probably with social studies, given that they have changed social studies, work that our social studies teams had already done, put them in a good position for that revision that the state has done. There's going to need to be some changes, but I think that it'll probably work to keep it another year down the road. The new superintendent may choose to do something differently. Maybe they'll move that forward, but then we'll start just going through the cycle again. So we're glad to be having, after many years of not really having the capacity or at the time and the resources to do the updates. Certainly the 40S money has been huge in helping us be able to do the updates and then make sure that we have the materials to support the updates as well.
So for the next year's, are there teams together yet?
No, those postings will go out.
Okay.
Later. And some of them are being structured so they're going to be done, they won't be, they'll be working with the teams during the PD days.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But those departments, there's pretty small selection of folks. So.
Right, I know.
And we spent some of our time PD time.
Right. Yeah, they're very good.
Planning out.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Mrs. Flora.
Is she here with her dress on?
She is, it's not the pretty dress.
Oh, it's not the,
It's
okay.
not the pretty one.
It's not the fancy one?
Mr. Short.
Mr.
Thank
Short.
you. Mr. Short's been leading this math task force for 2 years, working to get to this point, and we're excited to be here. And
We are
really
excited.
appreciate Mr. Short, of course, did this as part of his master teacher project because he also continues to do SAT prep.
Oh, yeah.
And
hockey coaching.
Oh, well,
yeah. What about that?
It was a good year.
Yeah, what?
So the math curriculum task force, as Superintendent Combs said, we started 2 years ago. My goal was to facilitate the group and revise the curriculum K through 12. So we had, I sent electronically, it's a combination of everything that we've formulated, but we have individual documents so that stuff can be uploaded to the district site. It can be in the massive file, or it could be just the curriculum maps, the core content objectives, all those different things. But I put it in one PDF so it was easier for you guys to work through. The team was composed of a teacher from each grade level and then a few teachers from the high school. We had from the primary school, Sheila Bellata, Maria Cordimash, and Nicole Bienvenu. From the Turkey Hill Elementary School, we had Danielle Salina, Charlotte Latundre, Lisa Becasa. From the middle school, Krista Diamantopoulos, Amy Raboyne, Beth Arsenal. And from the high school, Robert Truex and Andrew Canatori. And then I facilitated, but I helped with the math, with the high school part of it. So our goal was to revise the maps, align them vertically, which was like a huge benefit, I think, to this revision, is we really looked at the curriculum K through 12 and looked for overlap. We researched the changes that have occurred since the last revision in 2011. We researched proposed changes. We made those adjustments, and then we compared by building, and then in a K through 12 group, we cross-referenced to really try to get rid of the overlap, because we found that things were being taught in 8th grade that maybe didn't need to be covered as much. Everything always needs to be reviewed and circled back, but there's just not enough room to be teaching things twice. So we really, it was good, like for me, to look at it from a K through 12 perspective and say, okay, this is where all this is going to fit. And so what I sent you is tying that together. So in the 2 years, so we reviewed the state standards for new and proposed changes. We reviewed all the curriculum maps for alignment. We updated the K through 5 maps to align with the everyday math curriculum that they use. And so you'll see in the maps that I sent you, K through 5, is in one format that is really tied into that everyday math curriculum, and then the 6 through 12 are the more traditional maps with the essential questions and enduring understandings that we made in-house here. The one addition that we did to the K through 5 maps that are tied to the everyday math curriculum is in red. There's notation to indicate any proposed changes by the state that might go down. And then, it's an ongoing process, so we'll have to look at those a year from now and see if those changes occurred. We developed core content objectives for each grade level of course. These actually came about before the I Can Do statement process, so this actually helped that process because these were what we considered the core content, the things that the kids should really know coming out of the course or grade level. And then when we were assigned to do the I Can Do statements, we just worked off of those core content objective documents, and we're working right now to simplify them and make them more user-friendly for everyone to look at. So those are going to be basically the district outcomes for the courses, and then the I Can Do statements will be more for the parents and the public. We worked together to edit the final documents. We worked to get a common format because the maps were all over the place. We wanted to get at least the K through 5 maps to look the same. We wanted to have the 6 through 12 maps look the same. We uploaded all of these documents onto Google Docs. I have them all in a folder, so now that was actually a challenge at the beginning, was where are the maps? Some of the maps were just saved on people's personal computers. Some of them were online in folders in one place. So all the maps are in a folder now. They're all titled the same, so they're all anybody can access all the curriculum maps at any point. So I thought that was a huge task. So the file itself, what I sent you, there's an introduction. It introduces the task force members. It has a table of contents that'll lead you through all the different documents. It has our statement of philosophy and guiding principles that the group developed in those meetings. We brought back to our departments and grade level teams and had them review and then edited and put back in. The philosophy and the guiding principles are tied together, and it's that we're going to challenge our kids. We want critical thinkers. We want our mathematics to be tied to real world and real life applications. And so that's the beginning of the document. The introduction also explains the process, what we did to update the curriculum. The next section is the core content objectives for each grade level and course, and then followed by the curriculum maps. You'll see the high school maps. They were a little more far along than the elementary and the middle school, so we took the time to add common assessments. We also cross-referenced them with the new Common Core standards and made those notations in the maps, and so we just keep building. So eventually there's even hyperlinks in some of the high school maps now for common assessments, where it'll go right to some of the labs and stuff. So for new teachers, and that's huge to be able to look at that unit, and then the link is right on the actual document to lead them there. We also made recommendations. Each grade level and each school had grade levels for both resources and curriculum. A lot of the elementary and primary recommendations were around things tied to that everyday math in terms of pre and post assessments. So I'm not sure. Those teams worked on those recommendations individually. I'm assuming that the package maybe include, they have to add on to get the pre and post assessments from everyday math. So that was something new. So if you look at each grade level, they have recommendations tied to what they would want for resources and curriculum. Some of the high school recommendations we've actually we've already been working on because we're in the process of ordering Algebra 1 textbooks, which was one of the recommendations. And I think we're in the process of going one-to-one with Chromebooks for ninth grade, which was a recommendation because we're doing labs and different things now. Like in my classes, for example, I have mixed classes. I have sophomores, but I also have freshmen in those classes. So if there's freshmen and we're doing something on Geometry Sketchpad, it's tough if they don't, we have to get the laptop car and, so it'll be huge to have that one-to-one with the Chromebooks. And that's pretty much it. Unless you have questions, it's obviously, there's a lot in there. But we've gone over it, brought it back to our departments. The departments seem to be happy with the changes and the updates. Every grade level, every course at this point in the math K through 12 curriculum has a curriculum map, which is a huge accomplishment.
And I like that you work to eliminate redundancy.
Yes.
And focus on.
Yeah, we don't really have a choice. They just keep lowering the grade level in which things are introduced. So at some point, something has to, we have to look for overlap, and we cut a few things out too. We cut, the standards changed a bit, so we took some units out that we had been doing for, a long time, but weren't as important as other units that we weren't able to get in.
Right. I think it was a really prudent step. Not only were you looking at the standards and how they change, but the ones that may be coming up and kind of flagging those. So that'll be a little more in the forefront of people's minds when changes happen.
Yeah. And from the research that we did, it seems that most of them are going to go into place. So that's why we made the step to even put them in the maps, because I think that it's probably just going to change where we take the red highlight off and it becomes part of the map.
Right.
And with the real world examples too that you're going to be including. I can't tell you how many times I hear, I'm never going to use this in real life.
Oh, I heard that this morning. I did.
I say it all the time. Critical thinking. Use it all the time. I'm using it right now.
Exactly. Just thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
The rest of your task force.
All right. Yeah. The task force was great. Every timeline, every goal, we worked during the PD days. We had, they were amazing groups. All right.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
I believe that our I can do statements that our task force leaders are working on now in terms of consolidating, they still need to go out for a final peer review before we actually publish them. So that's a task left undone.
That would be the last phase of that. So that would be like the last would be added to this. What I'd say, yeah. They're in the rough draft stage. They're completed for all the grade level, but they have not been. They have not gone for the review.
Okay.
Some we need to consolidate a little bit. Some are multiple pages long, and we need to reduce.
Focus.
Yes, exactly.
Those were to really highlight and have something that parents is readily accessible, but also easily readable.
Understandable.
A parent doesn't want to look through a 210-page, or most parents don't want to look through a 210-page document to find out what the third grader is going to know at the end
of third grade,
in math. And so the I Can Do statements are focused upon those power standards. You hear referred to by different kinds of terminology, but I feel it's an important and very exciting step forward for the district, because we've never had that before. We've never had that particular document. Yeah. So thank you, Mr. Short.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And again, thank you, Mrs.
Thank you, Mrs. Boyle.
Yes.
So do we have science?
We did the science review. I gave you links to all the science materials, and we're still now just needing the capacity in district because we didn't want to pay a consultant to do clerical work. So I may be reaching out to Mrs.
Oh,
Tachi
okay.
here to
Yep.
help us pull that all together into one document. But we had Ms. Karen Martin, who some of you may recall was our
Yep.
Director of Instruction in the district for many years until she moved to Hudson. And she came back and helped facilitate this with Leslie Knight, who works in the Sudbury Public Schools and is a science educator. And they worked with this great group of educators once again, Lisa Baseca, Dana Belair, Emily Clark, Rich Cohen, Linda Collette, Gina Cody, Don Guerin, Amy Harrington, Bob Hill, Sarah Keeney, Stephanie Madrigal, and also Nancy Murray and Krista Palma worked on the science curriculum with the consultants. And you saw in the links that I shared on the Google Docs that they have the grade level expectations. There was a huge change in the frameworks, and that was put in place by the state. It was adopted by the state board. This is the second year since it was revised. We started this last year and finished it up this year as well. The most significant changes in actually what was being done, the order of sequence was in the middle school. So there was a lot of work that's been going on with regard to the middle school. A lot of these teachers spent some summertime here working on curriculum developing. To capture what this science and technology and engineering curriculum is all about, it's about learning science by doing science. Is the byline with it. And so you heard Mrs. Blaisdell talking about this project-based learning and really integrating this into very engaging projects and active learning for our students. And that's what the teachers are working on to create those kinds of units and continue to grow this curriculum. But they've made a very significant start and have the frame that they're working from. We also did some connections with the local Conservation Commission to overlap with some water units and conservation and just being good stewards of the earth. And so it's been a very exciting development in science. There's more work to do. I think the high school electives, science electives, still need to be added to this curriculum. NIAS kind of drew everybody's attention, and rightfully so. And so those pieces will need to be completed, but this is probably 90% complete at this point in time. A good amount of work. And the I can do statements are also part of this as well that will be reviewed.
Okay.
So thank you.
Yep. So do we want to do the policies? Or should we rework?
Let's
Yeah, let's rework.
Let's rework.
Let's rework. Okay, so the next one we were on was Superintendent of Schools. So that says to be determined. We're just going to leave that as is. Policy development and review. Does anybody have any interest in that other than myself and Wendy?
I'm kind of interested in that.
Are you, Jim?
A little bit.
Do you want to take? I will give that up at this point.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll take it.
Okay. So Wendy, you still would like
I will
it?
stay with
Wendy
it.
and Jim.
I think that's good to have one of us stay.
Yeah.
From a transitional standpoint.
Yes. Okay. And then we have administrators in advisory capacity. So we have the high school principal would be to be determined. Mr. Santry, Heidi Champagne, primary principal is to be determined. Or elected, is that? There's a TBE on that one.
That should be
TBD, right? Okay.
It's a typo.
Just making sure. Juliana Hanscom, John Londa, Michael Cassidy, Stephen Malandrinos, and the athletic director is also to be determined. Sick leave bank. That was one that Dawn Marie was on. What exactly does that entail?
The LEA, through the district and through the contract, there is a sick leave bank that folks can contribute to. After a certain period of time in the district, they can give a day. And then if somebody who is an employee and in the LEA ends up in a health situation that perhaps they don't have sick leave time that's available, they can apply to the sick leave bank if they didn't have their own.
Okay.
It's not utilized, thankfully, very often, but it's very helpful to the individuals who are needing that. There's a limit to the number of days they can actually access, but that group makes a determination of whether the individual applying should receive sick days from that bank and just the number of days.
Okay, so they don't actually meet.
They only meet if there's a need to meet.
Okay.
That's correct.
Dawn Marie, was it Meredith?
I'm sorry.
What did you, as a teacher, is that something you would be interested in?
Yeah.
Okay. So Meredith. Superintendent, schools, superintendent will be to be determined.
Yeah, those are all the FLAC representatives and
okay.
those kinds of things.
So those
you
are
know,
to be
those-
determined.
Right.
Okay. FinCom. Oh, Carol said she would take some of Dawn Marie's.
Let me give Carol FinCom.
What? Should we give Carol FinCom? Unless I have takers at the table. Carol?
Carol would be great.
Carol would be great at FinCom, right? Okay, so capital planning. I typically do capital planning. I was thinking about charter review. Mr. Ebersol, are you still the chair of the charter review?
Yeah.
How often do they meet?
Twice a month,
Twice a month? What day of the week?
Wednesday.
Is it the same as our school committee, or is it alternating?
It's the second.
And 4.
It's the second and fourth, so it's alternating.
Right.
Okay. And capital planning is Tuesdays. So I'd have one meeting every Wednesday. And capital planning is shorter. Does anyone else have interest in capital planning? I'll stay on it if no one does. I don't see anyone jumping for joy. Okay, then I will stay on capital planning. Wellness advisory. When do you need?
I'm going to stay with
You
that.
like that one? Okay.
Unless someone else wants it.
I think that's a passion for you, so.
Yeah. PTO?
I
You,
can stay.
Meredith, still? Okay.
I can still be your alternate.
Okay. PacSal?
We did not meet at all this year.
I know.
They haven't
Did they
met
had
in
one?
several years. When I first came onto the committee 3 years ago, I was a PacSal rep. There has not been one meeting since I've been on the committee.
I guess,
Do you want to keep it then?
might as well.
And see what happens?
Yeah,
Okay.
you never know.
Might get lucky.
Yeah. Okay, school reps. High school, Meredith?
Yeah, I can still do that.
Okay. Middle school, Jim? You still want that one?
I can still do that. I won't have a kid in middle school anymore.
I know.
Well-
Oh, that's right, Jim. Turkey Hill, I'm going to give that away to Carol. Okay. Wendy, can you still do primary school
Yep.
then? Okay.
Sure can. I mean, the only caveat I will bring to that is, and I don't foresee it being moved up earlier time-wise.
Oh, okay.
I'm flexible mostly on days
Okay.
of the week. Thursday, I couldn't do it like at 4:15.
Okay.
But they don't get out of school till later anyway. I'm just thinking that a new principal might
Change.
Oh,
might
you're right.
change.
The day
But
of the week.
I'm thinking that it shouldn't be a huge...
Okay.
I mean, the same could happen at the high
The
school.
same could happen
Right.
anywhere, so...
We'll
yep,
see what
we're all-
happens once they start.
I figure we can figure it out.
Okay.
But yes, I'd like to
Okay.
stay.
Athletic advisory, Jim, you want to stay on that?
Unless anybody else has any interest in...
Well, I have an athlete, so I want to kind of stay away from that.
I do as well.
Does Wendy, unless Meredith wanted it.
I do not have an athlete, but
Does Carol want it? What? Okay, no, I'll take
Oh,
it.
but they like you, Jim.
yeah, I think you've made
I have
some
heard
really
good things
headway with
about
that.
you on there.
We're getting there.
And you have a meeting tomorrow.
And we are meeting tomorrow.
Okay. Diversity Advisory Committee, did they meet?
No.
Oh.
I think didn't they meet earlier in the year?
If they did, they forgot to
Okay.
tell me.
Oh.
Mr. Normandin chairs that, so
Okay.
that,
Okay.
but it's a standing committee under policy, so.
Okay, so we'll leave that. Meredith, you stay on that
Yeah.
then? Okay. So the start time subcommittee is ready to disband. Do we do that now, or can we do that now, or are we waiting for that?
You could go ahead and take that action.
So at the end, when we do all of this, or right now?
Is it like part of the
Just
slate?
make a motion to,
I'll take a motion to disband that right now.
I'll make a motion to disband the start time subcommittee.
And I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that's disbanded. Lifelong Learning Advisory?
Happy to stay with that.
Okay. And then the charter review, and the timing of the charter review last year was in the middle of our session, so none of us really had time to reorg our own time. So that's why we're looking at it again right now. So I'm happy to sit on charter review. I'm actually interested to see what's going on there. I like the big picture items that are town involved, like capital planning. It just gives me a better idea of what's going on in the town. So I will take one of those slots. And I was wondering, I reached out to Carol, but I did not realize Mr. A is on. So we can't really have her sit on there. Would one of you be interested? I think it would be good to have school committee reps be school committee members.
Yes, agreed.
Those are Wednesdays.
Yeah.
Do you know when the next one is?
Today? I thought it was today.
No, it was canceled.
Oh, okay.
Several people couldn't make it.
Okay.
The next one will be June 13th.
Okay.
And this committee will expect it to end special town meeting in the fall.
The fall, okay. So it'll be over the summer. Okay.
It will be over the summer. Well, other than vacation time over the summer, I should be able to fill in.
So you'll take it, Jim?
Yeah.
So it will be Jim and I.
Are you good with all you have, Jim? Do you want me to, is there something you want, just so that you don't have too much on your plate? I could take, it's totally up to you. Carol,
It's a shorter term one as well.
Yeah, one is, so that's fine.
It's a short-term thing. I can certainly do that.
Okay.
Paxel, there's nothing going on.
Right, okay.
Middle school.
And it should be before capital planning starts, too,
Advisory,
for me,
once
right?
6 weeks.
Okay,
I just want to make
capital
sure
planning is
you're good.
tending to start early.
I think we'll be all right. But thank you.
It's better, it's more effective. Okay. Okay, so we need a motion to take the slate, to approve the slate.
I move that we approve the slate as we've just described it.
The appointment of committees? Is that how you say it?
Lunenburg School Committee organization chart as appointed, because we have all the names. I don't want to read them all.
Right.
There are too many.
Motion to approve Lunenburg School Committee organizational chart as outlined tonight
For 2000.
for 2018 and 19.
Second.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, well, I will fill Carolyn on her obligations that we have appointed her. She did give me her availability, so I think she's fine with you.
Okay.
So I don't think I overstepped. Maybe FinCom. But, so we now have on the table the policies that we have for the first reading, which you received in your emails. Did you look at them? Do you have any comments, or can we just waive the first reading?
My comment is you guys did a lot of work. That was a lot of policy, so thank you, policy subcommittee folks.
I did have one question from somebody from the Athletic Advisory Council on policy 3509, display of athletic team awards. The question was there a discussion about keeping things on display for more than 5 years? Because we do have some middle students who do participate on varsity teams that could be...
Middle school students?
Yeah.
So they want to make
track,
sure,
right? That would be track.
I didn't ask specifically, but if there was any, what the discussion was around the 5-year limit for displaying the trophies and stuff. And if you would consider increasing that to 7.
7 years. Do you see it right there?
Yeah, this policy development actually came out of the reconfiguration committee that was set up to talk about what was coming over, and then develop a policy that would carry into the future, because there had been collection after collection after collection.
A lot of collections.
So, we could go back to that group and get additional information about why the 5 years versus 5 would take care of eighth grade.
8 to 12, that would be 8 to 12.
So if they participated in 7th grade and it went up after that, if they received an award,
it would be their whole high school career.
It would be their entire high school career, 8 through 12.
That would be displayed.
They couldn't get it before 7th grade. MIA rules
Right.
stipulate no one below grade 7. And grade 7 is even an exception.
It would be 8 through 12.
So they earn it in 7, get it, see it 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Well, they'd earn it in 7 if it's displayed in 7 as well. 12.
They can't earn anything in 7th grade.
They can't earn it.
They're not supposed to be, according to the
I
MIA.
thought you said
No, she said, according to the MIA.
Participation.
They can participate,
they
but
participate.
they're not supposed
So
to.
where's the year counting? Is it counting that 7th grade year? Is that when it's going up? Is that when the clock starts on them?
Do they
Or is it
actually
the
get
8th
varsity
grade?
letters in 7th grade?
I believe they do. If they participate as part of the team.
They
I
have to
believe
come-
they did this year.
What team was that?
Track.
Track? They have to compete on it in so many events for track.
Correct, but it doesn't mean that someone can't earn a letter. I don't know
Yeah, I
all the
thought they
stipulations,
did.
but...
I thought they had to compete on a certain amount of things to earn the letter. That was my understanding.
Oh, okay. So...
They can't just be on the team.
So if we say 5 years, though, I think we're getting down to brass tacks on this.
Yeah.
So if they earn it somewhere during the 7th grade year and it goes up, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
But if it goes up in 7, then you have 6 years.
Right, it depends on where the clock starts on
Right.
that.
If it's spring track,
It would go up at the end of their
they're
season.
basically by
Right.
that point in time. So I think it would carry through to the end.
To the end of their
End of their senior year.
Missing the sequence. I suppose winter track, it could go up at the end of the season, so it...
But even then, are we collecting and taking things down the second? Do we know exactly it went up in March, so everything's
Yeah,
March
5
coming down?
years.
I think that's a lot of assumption.
Generally a summertime.
That's a summertime thing, so I would think that we would be, for 99.999% of situations, we would be
I would think
fine.
5 years is fine.
Yes, I would too. And that helps with the original...
Is this group even still together, or are they
In
disbanded?
terms of collections.
No, this
We'll
group,
mention again tomorrow night, and if they continue to
Yeah.
have an issue...
Well,
then
we
they
have
can
another policy for
come
you to
to the
look
next
at
meeting.
tomorrow night, too. Yeah. The next reading?
well, they were just
Right,
asking
yeah.
to change this.
Or the next reading here.
Yes,
It's already left policy.
to watch agenda to see when the next reading will be.
And feedback is also sent via email.
And I
Yes,
would-
absolutely send
Or
feedback.
If you modified this, I wouldn't modify it to have everything 7 years. I would suggest that you say, have an exception clause that in the rare case or
in the rare event
That a
that...
7th grader has earned, something earned.
Through the end of their high school career, because 7 years wouldn't be necessary.
Right.
6 would cover it
In those rare cases.
in those rare cases.
So
I
you
think
can
that's a
leave it
good
at
idea, Superintendent Combs, if we get feedback that there's
rather
there's
than
real
change it
concern.
for everything, just, then you have to mark it. When trophies go in, a smart thing to do would be to put some kind of
Sticker on it.
sticker on the bottom that
Expiration
says,
date.
this is when it needs to be
An
removed.
expiration date.
And then when they
It's
dust
expired.
that summer,
Yeah,
Right, in the summer you go through the case to see what's up this
And
year.
it's like on the stocking at the supermarket.
Yeah.
Date is good
So would
still.
you, we can set that one aside and not go to first reading
Right,
at this point in
yeah.
time and
No,
ask
and
him
that's
if
fine.
perhaps putting language in there that just provides an exception clause for those, infrequent.
Those rare.
Well,
yeah.
why don't we put it through the reading? It doesn't mean that we couldn't add a
Well,
second
no.
reading.
Oh.
And then if you bring it
No.
tomorrow night,
Well, you could
If
put
we
it,
change it, we
write
have
it.
to bring another first reading.
Well, you can read it with that in first reading. You could add that in and say,
Okay.
that's first reading.
Well, or I can take it to if we can keep the 5, and I can take it to them tomorrow when we talk about it and say, this is the reason why it's 5. If there's a need to change it, then we can come back with feedback.
And you can still have it in place by fall, or, by the
Right,
summer.
okay.
So I think just going with pushing
Pushing it back.
Pushing this one.
especially since they're meeting tomorrow. So
Yeah,
they
they're
can
meeting
talk about
tomorrow.
it tomorrow. Because we've already polled fundraising.
For them to look at.
Because what you had, the policy subcommittee, when they met today, they did some additional changes to that. But they wanted to send it back to the advisory before they brought it to first reading, because
you
it was
created
based
it,
upon your
yeah.
recommendations.
We didn't create, we gave
You
you
gave us, and
recommendations.
so we
Right.
based it on that. So we want to make sure that our changes, our tweaks are okay with the group.
And I believe...
There's a little
I don't
wording
remember if
that
that's
they
on our
might...
agenda tomorrow or not.
Oh.
Actually, I think there is. I think I put under old business an update. So we
Update.
can discuss it then.
Okay.
Good.
Yeah.
Did I think that far ahead?
I hope so.
We did. I remember seeing that.
Okay.
Got to leave it unlisted so you can discuss. Always. Okay.
So then I guess on the other ones, you're...
The waiving first
you're
reading.
Waiving first
reading.
reading of, you have to, I take a motion to waive first meeting on
1203,
1301.
1204,
Where's 1204? Oh, there it is, I'm back, yeah. Oh, it's brand new, yeah.
1301, 1302, 1801.
Yep.
1303.3, 3201.
3201.
And that's a big one.
Yeah,
That's because it
we need to.
was totally updated, so.
And then 3503
And
What's
3503.1.
and 3503.1.
Oh,
3500, 3503, 3503.
And is it 3509? Or where-
Yeah, so I missed that.
Well, that's the one they're going to take out.
3501.
Yeah.
No, that one's we're
We're gonna
taking
take
off.
back.
Okay.
Yes, 3509 is not going
Okay, so
tomorrow.
what's your motion then?
My motion was to waive first reading of those ones that I read off.
Okay. Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
And these are posted, I think Ms. Peterson put them up at the website tonight even.
Okay.
So there'll be 2 that didn't go to first reading, but we'll get those pulled down and they are up there for the community to view.
Okay.
I was thinking when they were talking about the meet and greets as well as the interviews.
Yeah.
That it would be good for that to get distributed around the school
Yes,
community.
yeah.
The newspaper was here, and perhaps at the next Board of Selectmen meeting, that can be conveyed as well, because that time's coming up pretty quickly.
Yeah, next
I guess it
Thursday?
will.
You have a
Yeah,
meeting on
next
Tuesday,
Thursday.
correct?
The paper
Do you
will
or
just
no?
be coming
I know
out.
it's not every Tuesday.
Are you-
No, they missed it.
Oh, yeah.
I just missed it.
So,
You need to send out an email blast.
we'll do that. I'll
Wait,
get the
maybe we
information.
can have town manager send out an email blast.
Townwide.
Townwide? Right?
Yep.
We could, yeah.
Yeah, let's
Does
ask.
that,
Yeah.
does that go to
Heather?
phones, or does that go to emails? Just
It's
emails?
just a townwide
Is it a
email.
pretty good distribution? Yeah.
She also could put it on Facebook.
The town Facebook page.
Yep.
Okay, so will you give her that information, or do you want me to? Or do you want-
Mr. Cassidy?
Mr.
has it?
Cassidy, I'll ask him to send
Okay,
it. I will
yeah,
have him to- okay.
yeah. If he gets that to me, then we'll make sure it gets out and gets posted every place we can post it as well. So
Okay.
people will be informed.
Okay.
Well, I'm wondering, oh boy, it needs to get out as soon as possible.
Like tomorrow.
And then a reminder go out on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Because with the long
weekend.
yeah. Just do as much as you can. Yep.
We can put it on Amy's Facebook page.
Excellent.
Okay, so
Certainly put on the school and community page.
that's what I mean.
That's the powers.
That we will fill you in later. Okay, old business, then the extended day fees. Do we have that on here?
Yes, actually what happened is that was a very full committee meeting and the committee voted to increase from $4.50 to $5. So next year was taken care of, but somehow when I went back and looked at the minutes, we didn't have the recommendation that was brought forward to basically then do 25 cents the following year, so it would be $5.25
Okay.
and then up to $5.50 in the subsequent
okay.
year. So that we wanted to fix that, and also there's the summer school program, and there used to be some structured in terms of if you went 5 days, then you got a discount, and the recommendation for Mrs. Perry is that really just going with a straight hourly rate is what the recommendation is.
Oh, for the summer.
And if people are there 5 days for 3 hours a day, they can figure out what the rate is, and nobody has to be guessing how that works out or if they fulfilled their obligation. It just became a bit of a challenge to keep that all straight. So they just want to go with the straight fees
That makes sense.
at this point in
Okay.
time. For the summer, just like they
when they normally run.
That's right. There's no
Yeah.
change for summer.
Okay. Will the fee increase over the summer, the start of July?
The $5 will be in place on July 1.
July 1,
Yes.
$5. And then $5.25 will start next fiscal year?
Will be
Yes, and the
July
1920.
1920, and then
yeah.
then $5.50 would be 2021. Oh, that's...
And that'll put you in sync with the actions taken with the preschool fees
Yes.
as well, which
Yes,
was a
I remember
3-year
that. Yeah, it was a-
period.
Yeah.
Do we need a motion on that?
Yes.
I was thinking we approved 3 years.
So did I, and I think that she went
And
back and
it's the
looked,
preschool.
and
Yeah,
that's what it was.
I did go back and
Yeah.
check, as we started to communicate out to families, and I was double checking the minutes. We had lots of conversation going on. We didn't have 3 years,
Okay,
and we
so
didn't have the summer, so.
we need a motion to approve.
I make a motion to approve extended day fees for fiscal year 19 through 21 and fiscal summer 19 as outlined.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Then the trip to Italy, Mrs. York provided you with a little update on the difference in the cost for the summer as opposed to April break, correct?
Right, that is correct. And I think I shared that with you, is that her recommendation is, first, that she didn't have any students expressing that they had
A concern.
a concern
Yeah.
or an impact. She said that the cost was slightly higher, it wasn't significant. I was trying to find that where I
It was like
shared
$200 or
that.
$300.
Right,
It was
exactly.
not significant.
It wasn't significant. The one concern was just, her view is that there's a lot of groups traveling during that time, which they kind of combine.
Right.
So the itinerary, to get the itinerary becomes more vulnerable if you're going in June, because it's a less desirable time for groups to travel. So she just said if the committee's desire is for that later date, we just need to let her know as soon as possible so she can let the students who've expressed an interest and start working on changing
Right.
it. But her recommendation
To leave it.
it remains to leave it at the April break.
And how many students does she have right now?
You know, I don't...
I wondered if she...
She has a couple right now.
Yeah.
I know of at least 2, I think,
Yeah,
but I don't know beyond that.
yeah, I don't...
I'd have to find, okay.
I can get that.
No, that's okay. I just wanted to make sure that the trip
Well,
was
at the next
still
meeting, we can just update.
still
you.
happening
Or
too, that she had enough
I can send
students.
that
I know
out,
they have to
yeah.
have a certain number of
Right,
students for
that's going to be the
participation.
thing, is
And
just
some-
having enough to, and the timelines of when she's going to need to know in order for this trip to go
Right,
as well.
right.
Yep.
Okay. Do we have any public comment from the public? No? Okay. So do you want to quickly do our reports, school council? Mine, Turkey Hill, was exactly what Ms. Champagne presented, so we can pass over.
Today was the primary school, and we worked primarily on the updated handbook as well as the school improvement plan.
The high school shared the school improvement plan. There was also some discussion surrounding Peter Pan and whether or not a musical may or may not occur next year, and there was some discussion about theater costs and how expensive it is to pull off a production and how much more expensive it is to do a musical production, and it might be cost prohibitive. So there was some concern.
Oh, for a musical as opposed to a regular play?
Because you have to pay for the music and
Right.
all those rights.
The copyright.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there was some discussion and concern about that.
Oh, that's upsetting. Okay. Did you have any, Jim?
No.
Okay. Pete, wait, do you
They had great attendance the second night. I know that, I'm not sure about the attendance at Peter Pan on the first night. I know it came in late.
The attendance was good for this program, and they made some profit, but the musical is so much more.
They are,
The differential.
yeah, they're very, the scores and everything,
Yeah.
it's just so very expensive.
And I
Yeah,
personally
to get
would
the
love to see a
rights.
musical
Yeah, I believe
here,
that,
I
so
would too.
I think those are fabulous. We're trying to brainstorm that.
I went the first night, and it seemed pretty well attended.
Okay, it was a good choice to draw in the community.
Yeah. PTO, Meredith?
I didn't attend the last meeting because we were doing
we
that.
were busy.
But the next meeting is June 4th, which I will miss. But for anyone who would like to attend, it's a short meeting. It's a short meeting, and then they go out to dinner.
Are they doing elections, or did they do that at the
They
last
did
one?
elections at the May meeting.
Okay. Do we have the same president, or did someone new take over?
I believe
There
it's
is
the
a
same
new
president.
No,
No, it's
no
new?
president.
Okay.
There is.
Awesome.
It's a whole new executive board.
Really?
Yes, ma'am.
Younger?
Well, my texting skills didn't work on that.
Or no? Who is it? Who is
It's the new president is Allison Melvin.
Oh,
Allison, okay.
Okay. Well, she has younger children. That's
Yeah.
exciting.
Alex Lind.
Okay.
Okay.
Vice president.
Jess or no?
No.
No, they
It's a whole new e-board. for
Okay.
There were a lot of
That's
people who wanted
exciting,
to go.
though.
There's two moms with very young kids who are collaborating for fundraising.
Oh, good.
It seems like
But no
a
Corinne
nice,
and no...
No, they were ready to
They were
to
done?
pass the torch
Okay.
on that.
so
No, good.
seems good.
Congratulations to
Yeah,
Allison.
good job,
then.
guys.
That's exciting. Okay. Oh, Jim, Principal Search Committee?
Well,
I'm
I
just
guess
joking,
there's only
it's
so
no
many things I can say, right?
Yeah,
So
you're
we
not
had-
really allowed to tell us anything.
We had interviews yesterday.
Okay.
We had interviews today. We've narrowed it down to our top candidates who are going to go to the next phase, which is we'll be checking our references and scheduling site visits.
Okay. And then they will come to a public forum, correct?
They will absolutely come to a public
Okay.
forum. By that point, we should have a new superintendent
Yeah.
who will be able to ask the questions, because
Okay.
ultimately that will fall on their shoulders to make that decision.
Okay.
But we're happy with the three that we have.
Three?
That we're.
Okay.
Should I
That's
say
okay.
that?
It's all right.
We're happy with the number that we're advancing, the candidates that we're
Okay.
advancing.
Okay. That's a good number.
It is.
Wellness Advisory?
We met last Wednesday. Very productive meeting. Two big focuses. The mental health initiative that would be townwide service, and that we are actively in the phase of seeking out
Monies.
donations.
Yes, okay.
And the other part was a wellness-type survey among our students going into grade 6 and 9, correct?
Oh, going into.
Yes.
Okay.
So
that
really
would be
well
my-
questioned, used some other towns' surveys among the students, so it's anonymous, and they're not just, they're well-worded questions to really gather all types of information.
And did they go out to the students yet or not?
Not yet.
Okay.
Still in progress. We're just looking at, but
starting. Okay.
how to learn as much as we can about kids' habits at this age. From everything from, do we eat breakfast, to how much screen time do I have?
Right.
What do I think of tobacco and alcohol? But different types of questions, not just, have you ever tried smoking? But because kids are going to be afraid and still check no, potentially. So just different worded questions.
Okay.
And we had an advocate.
Yes. Oh my goodness. I don't know. I missed most of that because I was late to the meeting, so I don't know if you want to speak more.
We had an advocate from Tobacco 21, which is a major effort to raise any access to tobacco products to age 21. I've been talking to Chief Marino. We had someone from the state come in and talk about the real challenges around vaping and how much nicotine is actually in those products, and how many of our students, as adolescents, their brain is just ripe for addiction at that point in time. And Lunenburg happens to not have ordinances in place that really control the sale of that, and so Chief Marino and I have been working with this group to start developing some proposals to take to town meeting to put ordinances in place, and Ken was there from Tobacco 21 to help with that, working in conjunction with boards of health as well. So we have some good resources to help support us through this, and such an important topic. And the other thing that we were able to do is we were able to recognize Dr. Gary Asher, who's been a member of our Health and Wellness Advisory for over 20 years.
Wow.
Dr. Asher was on the founding committee. He has been just such a wonderful source of expertise, and so reliable over the years, and we took the time to recognize him. I thanked him on behalf of the school committee and our schools, and we gave him a little appreciation photo for his dedication to our students and schools.
He's not leaving, though.
He's actually relocating out of Lunenburg.
He is, isn't he?
Yeah, he did. It was just, I know that he was very committed to that. That was a difficult decision for him, but he really was grateful for the time and being part of such a really great group that gets so much done every year. There's a lot that group accomplishes.
That's amazing.
Yeah. It's been a pleasure to serve on that. I've been a member of that group the reason I know it was over 20 years for him is because I've been on it for 21 years.
Oh, wow. Okay, and our policy subcommittee, we met earlier today, and we brought you our policies?
Yes.
Do we have to have another meeting this year, or is it?
Well, see what comes out of advisory.
Yeah.
We might do another one before school committee.
And I'm not on it anymore, so it's not we. It's
I'll
right.
email Wendy tomorrow night.
Okay. Okay.
Myself.
But I think if we can get those into first reading, it would be good to, that way you'll have them in place by the time fall comes along.
Yeah, before they start fundraising.
And especially with the fundraising.
August.
We have to really
do what we
get that
can quickly.
going.
Even getting some of that word out there before, and right now I think it's hard for people to really have their minds wrapped around that at this point in time. So I think it's something the committee needs to think about in terms of if you're going to make a shift in something, that you make sure that you give everybody a heads up that it's coming. So we'll want to push as much of the information about these proposed changes so people have an opportunity to provide you feedback on a broader base. I know the advisory's providing that, and that's certainly some key folks within the booster clubs, because that's who sits on that advisory. So they can help spread the word as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
And we will be getting new members as well.
Yeah.
Start transition as some of the parents
Graduating,
Our
yeah.
their kids are graduating and they won't be participating.
Oh, they're not going to donate any more time?
Well, more likely not.
Next year?
Next
No,
year. So
yeah.
we're actually going to start with some new people there tomorrow.
Oh,
Just kind of work on
The ones
transition.
taking over the booster
Yeah.
clubs? Yeah.
great.
So that's obviously on our agenda is reorganizing,
reorg,
is how we're
yeah.
going to make it look
Yeah.
going forward. And if we can add that to the agenda,
The athletic
on our
advisory.
agenda, that we have athletic advisory updates.
Yes, that
Yeah.
should be,
You bet. Okay. And then NEASC was here a couple of weeks ago. They're done with their self-reflection portion, correct?
Yes, they are.
They had people in. I actually was interviewed by 3 of the people who were here for NEASC. There was a group of parents, and they asked us questions, and it was really a nice process. They were lovely people. One who worked for NEASC and 2 who were also educators in different districts who volunteer to do this. They're peer reviewing. So it was really an interesting process, and they asked interesting questions of us as parents. So that was a very nice experience. So that was just step 1 of the accreditation process, the self-reflection portion, and all of the people who worked on that in the high school did a great job and spent hours of time on their portion. And I think almost all of the staff was involved, correct? There was a great deal of staff involved in that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we should thank them all for that. Topics for future discussion, the Blizzard bag advice. Oh, are we setting up an advisory committee?
Well, I had sent that information to Carol because she was interested in maybe pursuing that.
Yes, she was
with
going
a
to
charge.
Okay.
So I had shared with her the information of how that structured the policy around advisories, etc. So I didn't want to lose sight of that, and that's why I put it on there, because I believe it's her intent to bring that back and propose it as a formal advisory.
Okay, all right. And so now we're going into executive session according to MGLC 30A Section 21A2 to discuss strategy and preparation for negotiations with the Lunenburg Education Association, not to return to public session.
I make a motion to approve, to adjourn 9:27 p.m.
We're not adjourning. We're going into executive session. We have
We're
to do
not
a
adjourning
roll.
this meeting.
No,
first
we're doing
reading.
roll call vote. Roll call vote to executive session. Jim, roll call. Jim.
Yes.
Meredith White.
Yes.
Yes.
Ms. Bergen.
Yes.
Yes.